The maid from 1,000 years ago stares at the injured real heirs in silence. Guilt presses heavily on her heart. She remembers another lifetime. Before the girl became empress, her talent once shone too brightly. And brilliance always attracts jealousy. She was framed, her hand shattered, her future stolen. From that day on, music was taken from her forever. History threatens to repeat itself. This lifetime, the maid wants only one thing, that the girl lives safely and whole. So she urges her to let go of the competition. The next day, the venue buzzes with excitement. The scheming girl steps onto the stage early. Confidence is written all over her face. She already knows her opponent won't come. When questions arise, the parents answer first. They explain the injury, calm and composed. Minutes pass. The real heiress is nowhere to be seen. The judges have no choice but to continue. The scheming girl begins her performance. Her notes are clean and practiced. Applause rains down from the audience. She finishes with a confident smile. Victory seems inevitable. Just then, the ceremony is interrupted. A wheelchair slowly appears. The maid pushes the real heiress forward. Shock ripples through the hall. The maid applies for the girl to continue the competition. Doubt erupts instantly. The scheming girl steps in aggressively. She frames it as shame to the family. Whispers spread among the crowd. Sensing danger, the mother intervenes. She claims it's merely encouragement, not competition. The maid refuses to play along. She makes it clear, the girl is here to compete. The father's patience snaps. He tries to shut it down publicly. He demands she leave the stage. Support fuels arrogance. She moves to drive the girl away. The maid sees through everything. She remembers the injury. And she doesn't forget the debt. Her warning shifts the atmosphere. But the parents double down. They defend the girl they raised. They threaten the maid into silence. The scheming girl smiles smugly. She believes the stage is locked. The orchestra has left. The performance must be solo. And the host will never allow it. The next second proves her wrong. A single gesture from the mute heir changes everything. Permission is granted. The scheming girl clenches her jaw. She pretends to be supportive. The maid pushes her aside without hesitation. The stage belongs to the real heiress. Injured yet steady, she begins to play. The first notes stun the audience. This is not pity. This is awe. Her skill eclipses years of practice. Even the judges lean forward. But pain catches up. Sweat beads on her forehead. The pitch begins to waver. The maid senses danger instantly. She needs accompaniment. Right then, salvation arrives. The steward steps forward with an ancient guqin, a relic from 1,000 years ago. Hope flashes in the maid's eyes. She takes the instrument without hesitation and joins the performance. Two souls align across lifetimes. Strings and bow breathe as one. The music ascends to a new realm. Judges rise in excitement. The hall holds its breath. The final note fades. Silence explodes into thunderous applause. The result is unquestionable. The real heiress wins. The parents clap awkwardly among the crowd. The scheming girl storms off the stage. But the story is far from over. Has only just begun. The maid stormed into the makeup room, fury radiating from her every step. Without hesitation, she snatched the scheming girl's $30,000 violin and smashed it to pieces. The truth had been exposed. The scheming girl had caused the real heirs to break her leg, and another servant had revealed it. The maid faced the scheming girl's wrath with zero fear, warning that she would pay a heavy price. Having vented her anger, the maid turned and froze when the mute prince appeared behind her. The scheming girl instantly flipped her expression to that of a victim, whining to the prince about the destroyed violin. She expected the prince to defend her, but instead, the CEO ignored her entirely. The CEO strode straight to the defiant maid, lifting her hand gently and inspecting the scratches with a mix of concern and reproach. He guided her away, leaving the scheming girl utterly stunned. The prince personally bandaged the maid's wounds, and she couldn't help but feel flattered. He then presented her with the precious guqin, but she misread his intentions, thinking it was a bribe to pursue the real heiress. The prince shook his head, exasperated, but she thought it was shyness and courageously offered him her jade pendant in return. He looked at the pendant and realized it was identical to the one given to him 1,000 years ago. By the time he processed it, the maid had vanished without a trace. Back home, the patriarch admired the real heiress's trophy, beaming with pride, and commissioned a custom guqin for her. The maid reminded him that the scheming girl still had a bet to honor. The scheming girl feigned sorrow, claiming she was willing to lose but could not part with her parents and the patriarch. Her parents, fearing she might truly be expelled, begged the patriarch for mercy. The maid, relentless, questioned whether they would defend the real heiress the same way if the tables were turned. Her parents were speechless, while her mother tried to claim the maid was sowing discord. The maid produced the scheming girl's malicious bath lotion, causing her to tremble in fear. Next, she showed surveillance footage of the scheming girl entering the real heiress's bathroom, and the girl's legs gave way in terror. Even with the evidence laid bare, she still tried to deny it, but the patriarch silenced her decisively. He ordered the parents to expel the scheming girl immediately. The family could not tolerate someone who harmed their own. Relieved, he happily declared that the real heiress and the maid would accompany him to the company during school holidays to learn the business. Meanwhile, the scheming girl, left behind with her grieving parents, stormed to the real heiress's foster mother. She waved a stack of cash, demanding the foster mother find a reason to send the real heiress back to the countryside. But the foster mother, overwhelmed with emotion, revealed that the scheming girl was her biological daughter, and that she had swapped her with the real heiress to protect her from suffering. The scheming girl recoiled, unable to accept the truth but knew she had no choice. She seethed with hatred that her own mother had not eliminated the real heiress immediately, leaving her to compete for affection. If her mother wanted forgiveness, she demanded the real heiress be dealt with first. The mute crown prince trades a limited edition Harley just to sit closer to the maid. But the maid misunderstands everything. She assumes he's currying favor with the real heiress. She even mocks him for being calculative. The crown prince can only write one sentence in his notebook. "I'm doing this for you." But fate cuts in at the worst moment. The real heiress shows up and calls the maid away. The crown prince watches her leave, smiling bitterly. The heiress asks the maid to practice a speech together. The maid notices the crown prince standing behind them. Trying to play matchmaker, she pulls him into the plan. She praises the heiress non-stop in front of him. Then she teasingly asks if he likes the heiress. The impossible happens. The mute crown prince actually denies it out loud. The maid is so shocked she nearly falls over. Only then does she realize the truth. He was never mute. He just doesn't like talking. Seeing her dumbfounded face, the crown prince gets irritated and walks away. The heiress feels her speech lacks presence. She asks the maid to demonstrate once. The maid steps onto the stage without hesitation. 1,000 years ago, she proclaimed imperial decrees for an empress. Authority is in her bones. Her demonstration hits like thunder. In the shadows, the scheming girl watches like a sewer rat. She decides tomorrow's speech will be the heiress's death sentence. The next day, the heiress stands on stage calm and radiant. Even the playboy brother is stunned by her brilliance. Jealousy finally drives the scheming girl insane. She urges her biological mother to sabotage the stage. Today, the heiress must die. With trembling hands, the mother cuts the chandelier rope. The maid notices the massive crystal chandelier swing violently. She charges onto the stage like a madwoman. She shoves the heiress away at the last second, but the chandelier crashes down with a deafening roar. The heiress is still struck and collapses unconscious. The old master erupts in fury and orders an ambulance. The maid stares at the blood-soaked heirs, panic consuming her. The scene descends into total chaos. Amid the confusion, the crown prince notices something off. He spots the scheming girl and her mother sneaking away. Trying to stall him, the scheming girl steps forward, but the crown prince shoves past her without hesitation. He picks up the severed rope from the corner. One glance is enough. This was no accident. It was attempted murder. At the hospital, the maid receives the test results. The heiress only suffered a mild concussion. The maid finally breathes again. But when she rushes back to the room, the bed is empty. Panic hits instantly. She runs into the crown prince and begs for help. The butler checks the surveillance. Soon, the answer comes back. The scheming girl dragged the heiress to the rooftop. The maid's heart leaps into her throat. She and the crown prince sprint upstairs. The maid kicks the door open in one strike. Inside, the lackeys are squatting in a row, trembling. The scheming girl herself is being held by the collar, held by the heiress. One glance is enough for the maid to understand. The heiress has awakened. That fearless dominance, that commanding presence. She is exactly like the empress from 1,000 years ago. Across a millennium, they finally reunite. Tears fall without restraint. The scheming girl can only retreat in humiliation. But this is only the beginning of the reckoning.